Hi, and welcome to the second episode of the podcast series, What Does Coffee Mean to You? Coffee podcast that has actually very little to do with coffee. For those of you that are just kind of tuning in and don't really know the format, simply explained, what I'm doing here is that I'm inviting entrepreneurs, creatives, designers, creators, thinkers from everywhere outside of the coffee world to try to inspire and push new energy into this coffee industry in general, right? So these are conversations not just relevant for the coffee industry itself, but relevant for people that are looking for new perspectives, new ideas, and want to hear from some of the most successful entrepreneurs, people, creators around the globe, right? And I'm super excited to have started this. We're about to then launch the second episode here. And this is a special one because in the world of Copenhagen, where I'm based, and most specifically in the world of food and restaurants, this next guest is something very special. I first met Bo Bech back when he had Restaurant Geist here in Copenhagen. And that was kind of an iconic restaurant. And he now very recently opened up Bo Bech, which is his kind of way of, let's say, welcoming you home to his restaurant. And I've been following him as a writer, as a photographer, as a chef, cook for many, many years. And it's one of those people where, you know, you get a little bit of goosebump. You don't really think it's possible to actually get him in a room and have a conversation about him because he's been such an inspiration to me personally. And in this upcoming episode that you're going to listen to now, he, just walks through some of his more philosophical ideas. He's a thinker. We talk about how it is to stay creative in an industry for such a long time. We talk about reinventing yourself. We talk about family life. We talk about a lot of different things. So I'm really excited for the opportunity to invite Bo to this podcast channel. And I really hope that you guys get as much out of this episode as I do, because it's absolutely amazing. So as always, just thank you guys for tuning in, watching, listening, wherever you are. Enjoy this episode. So we're back, and it's time for us to record the second episode of our podcast, which is kind of cool. I have a bit of a special guest here, which we're going to talk a lot more with moving forward. But as usual, we're going to start this with a very simple rule. We're running a 60-minute long conversation, so 1 hour. When the clocks kind of rings, we're done. So we're just going to, say goodbye and be done with it. Because limitations in conversations are interesting. And as you mentioned as well, it puts some pressure on the questions that we come up with, right? And we very much run this as a conversation. For those of you that don't know who's sitting next to me, it's Bo Bech. If you live in Copenhagen or if you're into food in Copenhagen, you've heard his name for sure. You probably visited one of his restaurants as well in the past. He had a few different ones. I'm sure we're going to go into that as well. We're starting this podcast with one simple question. It's the only fixed question we have in every episode. And the first question is, what does coffee mean to you, Bo?
Thank you for having me. What does coffee mean to me? Coffee, I think, is a ritual. It's something very soothing for my life. It's a ritual that I use in so many different ways to navigate. I guess most people would say, oh, we have a coffee in the morning. I could equally have a coffee just before I go to bed. I'm more or less, I've killed my caffeine balance or whatever. I'm immune to it, or maybe I work too hard, or what do I know? But I'll give you a different angle of what coffee means to me as well. It's a way of, when you travel, to navigate in a city if you have no idea where you are. So you could mention any city to me. You talked about Istanbul or Turkey right before we went on. If I were to go there, I would, if I arrived naked and had nothing, I knew nothing, I would just figure out what would be one or two cool coffee bars. And then I would go there, because where the coffee shop is, there is a market for someone that's interested in waiting a bit longer, for quality. They put value into different things. So therefore, it would create, I believe, it tends to be circles, like the coffee shop is the first stone in the water of the geography. So therefore, there would be a cool shop next to it. There will be some clothing. There will be everything I like. And then I would just wander around. So that's also what I say when I say a ritual. Coffee, it makes me slow down in the sense that if I'm at home, there's the machine is constantly on. It's never turned off, but still you have to like wake it up. Then there's the whole ritual of the cleaning from the last brew you did. So I drink a lot of espressos. Opening the drawer, looking at all my singular cups, because I only buy one cup, and most of them I've been given. Most of them represent something, a story to a friend, a destination, something. So when I open my drawer, there's actually two drawers. I look at a landscape of memories, moments in life. And then I make my first real hard decision. Who am I today? By choosing the cup. and then I do my coffee and then
it's like
the day begins.
Yeah, sure.
The day begins. At the moment, though, I have to say also, I'm trying to start by drinking a glass of water just before I drink the coffee, which I still don't understand. But as you get older, you start listening. You need different types of religion. So coffee is kind of religion. Mm-hmm. It's something that you believe in.
Yeah.
And the more you believe in it, you go deeper within that religion. And no disrespect to other kinds of religion. Yeah.
For sure. I want to touch a little bit because you mentioned the word ritual a few times there. And it's something that, I mean, we had one or two conversations in the past, you and me, and obviously like I've been to your restaurants. And also like when reading your books, I get a feeling that there is something very spiritual with what you're doing in a way. And there's something very ritual based, like I feel it as a guest, but it also feels in the way you put things together. It feels like that is something that you always kind of had with you. I think for the sake of just people to listening, do you want to do a little bit of a quick recap on like, this is what I've been up to, so that they get a bit of perspective on the restaurants, the initial start. Was it a bakery first?
No. So if we should do like a 10-second,
go for it.
I just had a beautiful daughter, 6 months old now, Saffron, together with Yasmin, my future wife. We've been together for a little bit, almost 5 years now. I live in Copenhagen. I am getting close to the second year of my opening of Restaurant Bo Bech, which is in Gråbrød Torv. Which is a restaurant that's in a very old, classical Danish building, a housing, brick and mortar, cobblestones outside, a beautiful old square in the heart of Copenhagen. And before that, I ran a restaurant called Geist for 10 years. Before that, I ran Paustian in Nordhavn, which was a fine dining restaurant. And in between that, I had a bakery, which opened in 2008, which only sold one sourdough bread. And I had that for 4 years. Besides that, I've done 4 books, 3 really serious books. What Does Memory Taste Like? In My Blood, and The Relation Between Us, in that order. And the relation between us is sort of the creative process, everything I see before it's being put on a plate. So it's a book that tries to showcase that inspiration. In My Blood is almost one-to-one how to open a restaurant, how to run it, the pillars of creativity, and very recipe-driven cookbook. And What Does Memory Taste Like? Very weird. Is a restaurant? No, it's a book that I did after the restaurant closed. So it's very much a romantic book. All of the books are romantic, but it's a book about people, me, all of that stuff. Yeah. So that's a quick recap of me.
Yeah. So basically, you've been quite busy. And if we rewind, let's say even before that kind of first restaurant, like becoming a chef, starting to the line of work that you're doing today, was that always something you wanted to do, or was it something a very young version of you was trying to do that wasn't getting into the restaurant world?
I've always said I was a late bloomer. By that, I didn't find food before the age of 24. And what I mean about being a late bloomer is I didn't understand that you could actually just do something that you loved. So I went to work for the sake of having a paycheck, so I then could have fun. I didn't understand you could actually have fun while you worked. So when I entered the food profession, I had a complete rebirth of myself. I woke up. I wasn't lazy anymore. I was energized. I felt vibrant and curious, and therefore learning stuff wasn't so difficult because there was an enthusiasm behind it, a curiosity. Of course, you do a ton of failures. The amount of people that gets angry at you while you're learning the craft, but that's a part of it. It's a part of mimicking. You can't, regardless of how many books you read, you can't learn about a craft. You can be knowledgeable about it, but you have to be close to the stove, other human beings, and learn their physicality of how they move, dance, whatever poetic way you want to look at it. And then you learn how to carry yourself, how to act, how to be. And then later in life, if you choose to continue, you get to the point where maybe I should do my own restaurant. And then you continue that. And all of a sudden, you're sitting in Patrik's apartment.
a bit randomly. No, I think it's so interesting because I think I get this question a lot, and I think for me it was very similar in the process of like I did not choose the coffee industry because I was in love with coffee. I knew nothing about coffee when I started in coffee. I had an idea that it might be interesting, and I had an idea that I needed a change. But I think I quite similar had the kind of revelation where instead of sitting around waiting to fall in love with something, you go out there and you do something, and then that love comes to you in a way, right? If you're open to it, and if you actually try to move forward, I think it's the first step is realizing I'm not where I should be right now, which means I should be somewhere else, right? And I think taking that step can open that door. And it sounds like you had a bit of a similar kind of revelation when you came in contact with food, right? And I think
but it's also you have to, when you say I'm not where I should be or anything, I think there's a lot of impatient vibes.
Sure. Yeah.
Everyone wants to have everything without actually working the craft, doing this, jumping the steps, doing all of this. What am I saying? I'm saying a part of the whole thing is also the journey, and it sounds so boring, but that's a part of the repetition of doing the things, you know? And then the adventure of being bold, taking a chance, living in different countries, whatever. You moved, you know?
Yeah.
It gives you character, it gives you certain different, like a diamond, like
yeah, sure.
edges, you know? And then you believe in something until you believe in something new.
Yeah, and you have to be okay with changing that as well, right? And I think that's been so important for me.
Maybe the biggest challenge is if you so stubborn believe in something that you're not open for other points of views on it.
Yeah,
you know. So I try to foremost. The most energy I use is on being open. Even though a lot of people would probably feel I'm not open. But because that's the challenge, you know? Kiss a lot of frogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it takes a lot of time, right? And I think what you mentioned, there's two things I want to touch on. And first is this idea of people maybe don't have the patience to let's say put in the groundwork, but the groundwork is, let's say, what shapes us, right? And I, for example, did not start in the coffee industry with the idea of having my own company or anything like that, or move to Copenhagen. Like it wasn't on that. I was in Gothenburg and that was it, right? But then you focus on what's in front of you in the craft, and the craft will take you somewhere, right? And that's what you say, and you have to be open for it, right? I got an opportunity to go to Berlin, and I jumped for it, right? I could have stayed in Gothenburg and my life would have looked different, right?
Yeah.
Not better or worse, just different.
Yeah.
But one thing I want to ask you, and it's also, let's say, a personal challenge sometimes for me, or a question that I think is relevant, because you've been in your industry for quite some time. How many times have you had where you feel like, I have no inspiration, I don't want to do this? Is that something you felt?
Constantly. Constantly. What happens to you when you feel this?
So I'm going to be honest and say that I've felt that a few times. Yeah. But for some reason, and I always had this with me, and I said this for a long time, where there's something with me when I go up and compete in coffee, actually. There's two kind of facilitators that makes me, let's say, fall in love with coffee again, right? And it's one, going to a farm, and it's two, competing. And there's actually a very simple explanation to this, because both the farmer and the competitor loves coffee. Like if you're backstage in a world championship, you're hanging out with other competitors, or you go into a farm, spending a week with the producer and their family, you meet two very similar people in the sense that they both love what they do.
Yeah.
And I think that's always how I reconnect to the fact that I love this also. And I think that's always kind of.
But your question, if I remember correct, was how do you carry yourself? What happens when you are without inspiration?
Oh yeah, sure.
That was your question.
That is the question. I mean, I think you have two layers to it, right? Because you have one, the bigger picture idea of am I on the right path? Am I in the right industry, or should I do something else? And then you have, I'm in the industry I want to be, but I'm not feeling the same amount of creativity or inspiration that I've had in the past, for example.
Yeah.
On the inspirational part for me, maybe that is because I'm still quite early in my journey. I say early after like 12 years in coffee or something like that, right? But I never had that challenge because I think there's so much to fix. There's so much to do in a positive way. Like I still see the opportunities and I'm still kind of, in some kind of flow mode when it comes to discovering what to do. So I haven't really had that challenge. I've had a few.
So why do you ask the question then? Why are you curious about it?
Because I'm curious on the second.
I mean this positive.
Yeah, sure. No, but I'm more curious in the second part of it where, have you felt you wanted to do something else career-wise, like move outside of that, right? Because I think when you're in a career, when you do anything, of course, you're going to have times where you wake up and you go, fuck, I don't vibe with this. I don't feel it. I don't have the creativity. I think that it comes with any territory. It comes with any relationship. It comes with any facet of life, right? But then you have these kind of bigger moments where it's like, I remember before I started April, I did two things. I applied for a job making noodles in my favorite noodle shop in London. And then I wrote my letter and I said, I have like 12 months of my life. You can do whatever you want with me. Just like, I'm here, I'm available. Because I wanted to move away from the coffee world and into like the restaurant world, right? Never got a reply on any of those. So I was like, okay, fuck it, I stay in coffee pretty much, right? But I'm curious if you had that kind of sensation where it's like, no, I'm done with this. It's time to do something different.
Yeah. There's so many layers to I think, just so we're on the same page to make sure that I understand it correct. I think often it's about, I don't feel seen.
Okay. Is that important to you?
And of course it's important to feel seen. Who are you in the world if nobody sees you? And you're doing all this effort for a smile, for a glimpse in the eye, and you don't feel seen. That's one part of, if you can feel that the tank is empty in a way, because then you feel you need to do something. That's one part. There's another part where you're tired of your current situation. Let's say the menu, the a la carte I have, which represent about 30 dishes at Bo Bech. And I'm tired of it. And I get restless. It happens a lot. And then I want to massage it. I want to change. There I've become better with time to understand, oh my God, this is me just being restless. This is not because it's not good what we have.
Sure. Yeah.
With time, I've become more patient whenever the feeling arrives. So it's not a panic reaction. And there's not buildings crashing down and I lay on a couch for a whole day eating stupid shit, feeling sad of myself. punishing myself. Because at the end of the day, whatever feeling I have, which is not a constructive, good feeling, once it's over, for the sake of the picture, let's say you're crying, at the end of that period, you still dry your eyes and then you begin working. So I guess with life, you become better at whenever you hit that moment. Because if you don't hit that moment, you're not pushing it hard enough.
Which
then you're playing safe.
Yeah. And that's, I think, is a very important point. Yeah.
Because you can be in control of everything, but then you're not pushing the envelope. So if you ask me and I push the envelope to a certain extent, I could push it much more, but then I would have to give up certain parts of my life. No. And it's like the life balance. I once a very important man to me, Jan Hurtigard, told me a story that his father told to him. He was my former chef at the first place. I was a head chef, Jan Hurtigard. He told me a story where he said, the restaurant is a gas station. The cars that come in to get refueled are the guests. Thereby the name restaurant, it comes from restoration. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if the gas station forgets to once in a while close and go and get refueled, it'll run out of gas.
Yeah.
In a way. And I think when we are self-employed, you have your own company, you at some point get caught up in this notion that you have to push, never stand still. And you sort of forget yourself within that journey. And therefore you'll eventually run out of gas. In a way, if you understand what I mean.
Oh, definitely.
So a part of running out of inspiration is a part of inspiration. Because you have your own luggage, you have your own bag of all your tricks, of things you learned, of things you picked up when you work for other people. So the first time you run out of inspiration is the first time when you realized you've emptied your bag. So you forgot to fill up your bag. So whenever this happens, I remind myself there's something I forgot to do. In a way, that's the poetic answer. And I could answer this in at least 10 different ways of angles.
How did you deal with it the first time it happened?
Oh, I can't.
I'm assuming you were a lot less wise.
No, I can't remember. Sure. Because the first time I probably ran out, I was a very young man being in charge. I was probably what you call a chef de partie. That means I was in charge of a station within the kitchen. I was probably on meat section. And you're in charge of producing a certain amount of dishes. And again, you empty your luggage, you empty your bag, and then you start playing around. And then you get caught up in something that's not really real. You get caught up in the applause. You want to have the applause from your peers, from your colleagues that you work with, from your boss. So you keep wanting to produce new things. So you forget the heritage of you, the soul, because then you get caught up in this treadmill of that you want to show, see how good I am, because you think that's what it's about. At least that's what I think happened for me. And then you have to find a pace of what is it you want, what makes a dish. And boy, oh boy, has it changed what makes a dish. You know?
Well, when you say has it changed, is that like an industry thing, I guess thing, or what?
I can only speak for myself. I have different pillars of how I look at food. It's not that I go to one pillar, but at the moment I've been re-evoked, if that's even a word, where I'm looking at things I hate. Mm-hmm. Not hate, but I dislike. So yesterday we put on a dish, Swiss chard, sølvbed in Danish. We put on leeks. We put on another dish, which anyway, because I keep seeing it in the frame, the picture. I keep seeing it when I go to the market. So I'm constantly reminded that there's a lot of people that love it. So I then start my own journey, my own investigation, where I'm having like a hate-love relationship. I want to love you. I want to love you, Swiss chard. And then I try to figure out, what is it? Who are you? But I can't communicate with it. I can only start cooking with it. And then I play around with it. And sometimes I succeed. And that's what I do a lot with food. I try to figure out, how can I be myself without replicating everyone else? How can I find that identity that when you come with some of your friends, you'll look at it and you'll say, this is a Bo, this is a Bo Bech plate, you know? And there's a lot of trial and errors, because that's what cooking is about. You eat it, it disappears, you have to do it again. And within this chaos, beautiful chaos, you're working with other people. You have a lot of hands involved, and they're looking at you, craving knowledge, and you have to, I guess they believe that I have to be perfect or something, which I'm not. I'm full of flaws in that sense. I'm like, sometimes I feel like an elephant within a glass house.
Sure. Yeah.
You know? But that's a part of it where you keep figuring out, how can you visit the same thing over and over? How can you keep making the game relevant, interesting? And I guess it's if I arrive to it one day, then it's time to say, okay, now I've given mine. It's time to step back a bit. But when I'm still curious, how do I dribble the ball? How do I play with it? How do I go down and lay it up for someone else to score, or I'll do a shot myself? Or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And so when it's a journey of keep reminding yourself why you're doing it. And that's a part of it. So when I work at Bo Bech, I don't even look at it as work. Of course, it's my restaurant, it's everything. But I'm there because I want to be there. When you see me in the past, it's not because I need to be there. I'm not in any schedule. It's just because today I just want to be there, you know? And then having a young daughter and a beautiful girlfriend, fiance, great friends. I'm sitting, sweating a little bit because I have an afterburn because I just trained. So my self-training a lot. All of these things, those are things to figure out in life. And the more you put in this bubble where you're slicing the cake, X% for your family life, X% for your work life, X% for your friends, X% for you, your personal time. That's the balance. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, maybe it's gibberish.
Does that stress you out? Like I'm curious about that sometimes, and for me also, I think there is this kind of, let's say, endless conversation of if you are your business, or you are your restaurant in your case, right? Because I think apart from me with April as well is that obviously April is me, and I am April to some extent, but I'm also not April, right? There's layers to it, right? And I think it's as something grows, and I guess as you get older as well, and you fill your life with more things. I mean, new baby and all of this, right? Is that sometimes a challenge to get that balance the way you want to, or has that just kind of flown naturally in a way that makes sense?
I think, am I right? You're very controlled.
In terms of what let's say, my actions or
life.
Yes, and
it's
no.
Not a stable.
Yeah, sure.
But you're controlled.
I'm very routine based, and I have this.
Per definition, you're controlled.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Good. I think when we talk about balance, it's about giving up control. You could be in one bubble, and then all of a sudden you can have the thought, oh my God, I could just go into the restaurant. I could be doing this right now. Why am I caught up in this? And I think there was nothing bad about my what I said. But what I mean about it is, of course, you can cut away waste. But there needs to be space for nothing. And 100%. It's a constant. I think people would ask me, do you use a lot of time on creativity? No, none. And 100%. Because it's just within me. It can be just coming home here, seeing the noodles on the rack or something, that my mind immediately, but it's something that sidetracks without the real focus.
Yeah.
It's just a side operation in a way. When you poured the coffee, I immediately was reminded when I did a walk in San Sebastian with my friends, because we brought that.
Yeah.
When I see your Yuzama Guzama pumpkin, I immediately think back how it was to stand on that little narrow. I don't even know what you call that in English.
I was about to say bridge, but it's not a bridge.
It's not a bridge. Pier.
Yeah.
Pier, where the water. And I remember living in that hotel at that museum where there's 5 apartments. And then at night, the light was right and there weren't 1,000 tourists. So I went down there and took a picture together with Yasmin at Teshima. So there's a ton of things, and it's like the coffee cup.
Yeah, sure.
Beautiful reminding things. And I think another great advice I once was given was, you're in a taxi, you're going from A to B. So you know where you are and you know where you're going. So the most important is to keep your eyes open. Even though you're in the taxi, we all have a tendency, especially I have, to jump down to my phone, check a few things, if it's mail, social media, whatever. But because from A to B, I have no control what will happen in between. So a part of my life journey has been constantly reminding myself, how can I be present?
Yeah.
Which I know is a little bit of a fancy word to throw out there, but it's really hard work. It's really hard work to be present, you know?
Absolutely.
And to be present involves slowing down. So when Saffron just sits in front of me and I hold her two small hands and she's just learning to stand up and she's looking around, like I just have to accept being slow with her in a way, which can be challenging. No, not in that sense, but
no, sure, but
as a metaphor, as a picture.
Yeah.
When you're back in the kitchen, you've said the same thing 1,000 times, and someone starts cooking the zucchini, and then you're there where you just want to go, why are you? I told you. And then you have to remind yourself, could we maybe not so much charcoal so it doesn't get completely charred? Or like, it's a constant like give and don't take control. There's this flirtatious thing about control.
Yeah.
Have it, don't have it. Let other people experience it. So it's a constant dance with it. I love control of everything.
Yeah.
I love it. So therefore, it's super fascinating. But I also have to, like with this talk, I have to accept I perform better if I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, sure. And see, like Bo made pretty clear he didn't want to have so much information about what we're doing.
And then you play with it.
Well, which I appreciate, because I think it's the way to be authentic as well, right? In the way that then you're not gonna, first of all, you're not going into a conversation trying to say something that you think someone wants to hear. You share what you want to share, right? And I think that's the same, like similar things with what I'm trying to do here, because in the episodes we've done so far as well, it's about having the conversations that, let's say, I can bring to this table, right? Because you've been in a million podcasts, right? You've done, like, everyone here has, right? So we don't need to hear the basic things about your life because it's already out there. You know, you can make a...
But Patrik, it's also about a person comes in to one of your shops. Let's imagine you're there. Let's imagine you and I were just sitting in the corner. We see a person comes in. You and I are having a quiet moment. Let's say I'm talking on the phone or doing something, I'm occupied. And you notice that person arriving in. Immediately, what would happen when that person comes in? Would you read that person? Would you let your mind go, oh, that person comes from Nørrebro, or that person just flew in from New York, or that person is from Istanbul? When you look at that person, what happens with you?
For me,
for your coffee shop,
depends on the setting and the mode, and I think that.
But we set the setting and the mode. You and I are sitting together. You're just glancing.
I would, because I'm always very curious. Like I want to try to understand which person is interested in certain things, and obviously, being someone that runs a business, you're curious of who's the kind of person that wants to be here, right? So I think that there's a part of that definitely defaults to that. But I think most importantly, what I look at is, and I guess to some degree that's a selfish perspective, because I'm very curious when it comes to how are people interacting with the space So I'm not looking so much at, what are they wearing? How are they looking? I'm looking a lot more, what are they doing and how are they moving? Because I'm curious to see how the space feels for them. It's the same when you come in, because we're sitting in my apartment, which is a bit random, at least in Scandinavian culture, to just bring in someone that you don't really know. And it's really interesting to see how people behave in that, right? So I'm not looking at your outfit and going, okay, I have all of these ideas based your outfit, but I'm very curious. And, you almost took a little bit of a look around. You were, looking at things that you could see that you were very observant to the space, kind of. So that's what I would be looking for more than anything else.
Yeah. So when guest arrives to my restaurant, I first of all, always get happy, a warm feeling when I see someone.
Sure.
Because I'm just happy they chose us.
Yeah.
And then sometimes going back to this notion of I create games within my head to keep making it interesting. Sometimes I play along and I look at someone and I go, they're probably this and this. And this I'll do with just conducting service and then I think they're going to pick this. They will do that. And I constantly fail.
Okay.
But it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun and it's a kind reminder I know nothing. Of course, I know a lot of things, but it's just a little game within the games of games, Look at my staff. Why did you seat that person there? That table would have been better because can't you see they're in love? They want to cuddle.
Mm-hmm.
Can't you see this is an older couple? It's too noisy under the speaker. Oh my God, why did you put them in the corner? They want to be seen. They want to flash. I have no idea if I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
But the curation because we have no idea who's arriving.
No.
We have no idea. We have a name and the amount of people. And even that doesn't work anymore.
Sure.
People it's maybe 60% that arrives. Oh, we're too tough. Yeah. We brought another one. Oh, we which is part of the game. And I don't know where I'm going with.
Which you don't always need to know where you're going also, right? When it comes with the fun. I'm a little bit curious, and it's a big question maybe, but expiration dates, is that something you work with?
No. What is it?
As in, do you ever have an idea? So you just started, the restaurant is 2 years old almost, right? Did you, when you start this restaurant or start Bo Bech, did you have any idea of or plans on, okay, but I will have it until this, and then I'm tapping out because I'm looking to do other things also? Or are you just 100%, I'm doing this until then I don't get that inspiration that I want, or I don't feel like? You've obviously been through a few opening and closings so far, right? And I'm assuming there's some kind of expiration in that, whether that's something you planned before or something that occurred during the process.
For me, it's a very organic process. It would be the equivalent of finding a partner in love and then starting to figure out what's the expiration. I think everything I involve myself in, I believe this is for life. But I'm not in control of life.
Sure. Yeah.
Foremost, the most important thing right now is to create the right culture within Bo Bech. And culture, I mean what it is I actually would love to create. And that's partially my idea, but then it becomes some of the captains that I have. Then I get shaped by them.
Yeah.
Then the location shapes you. Then all of a sudden, how people use you, move around at your spot, shapes you. There are so many different things.
Yeah.
If you ask me right now, how long are you going to stay at Bo Bech? To the end of time. But I don't know what bird will drop something in my basket tomorrow, in 10 years, in 9 years, in 19 years. I don't know my life hack. I don't know if something horrible will happen or something marvelous, beautiful. So I've never actually been interested in things I can't control. I've never used the energy on things I can't control. So I'm tirelessly working on fine-tuning what it is that's in my life. Learning how to talk to my friends, learning and how to react with my partner, with my staff. It's a constant dance. I keep using this word apparently today, dance. But it's, I think it's because, Patrik, that I try to keep having an opened view, mind, spirit about it. But it would be stupid of me to not acknowledge that 35 years in, I actually have a lot of knowledge, of experience. Also, but then again, when I was working for Marco Pierre White in 95, which nobody probably knows who is today, or Alain Passard in Paris in 96, the way they ran their stuff, that's not a knowledge I can use anymore.
Sure.
Because times have changed.
Yeah.
And it's not the tiring story about, oh, it was so tough and so hard. It's always hard to move to another country. It's always hard to leave all your friends behind and being solo and planting a seed and trying to make it blossom, grow. It's always hard. And that's what gives you character. That's what makes you want to fight a bit more for it. And when you have to fight a lot for it or work a lot for it, when it gets tough, you don't throw it away as easily. It's when you haven't fought for it and it becomes tough that it's so easy to just drop your knife and leave, or your ring and get out of the relationship because you didn't work on it. So expiration date, no, I keep working on all of it.
Which is, I think, the only way that it makes sense, right? And I think it's like what you said before about inspiration also, right? Like it's a given in business. I mean, I don't read so many business books anymore, but I read one a few years back, and I think that was right when I started April, I think, and I needed to hear that, where it's like, just so you know, this is like an uphill thing, and you're always uphill, right? You're never at a point where you should stop looking, or let's say needing for the times where everything is easy, because they will come also, right? But know that the other times will come just as well, right? It's like this standard, classic kind of Scandinavian lifestyle where you work with something you maybe don't want to work with, to have those 5 weeks of vacation where you can live out whatever dream you have, right?
What's a classical Scandinavian lifestyle?
I would say, I mean, it depends these days, I think, but I think in general, it's, at least the way I was brought up, it's a very safe way to do things. Like you get a job that is okay. You get an education that is okay. You don't necessarily try to be more than what you are born into. I think that's a big part. Do you have
a need to feel alive?
No. I think I'm too, like, I do things and that's enough. Like for me, life is everything. And I find pleasure and value in everything. So the good, the bad, the difficult, the easy. I'm not looking for, I think people sometimes are looking for a balance. Like they think now I had enough of the bad things, so now I need some good things. Like life owes me some good things. And I've never looked at life in a way where we are owed anything by anyone. Life just is, right? And then it's kind of up to us to go out and get it. And that's going to come in whatever shape or form, right? And I don't think it doesn't matter if you're the president, if you work in a hospital, whatever you do, we're going to have the same shit and the same good stuff, right? Hence also why I don't tend to look for so much interest of doing other things in other industries, because I've realized a long time ago that it doesn't really matter what the title is or the situation is or where I live, Copenhagen or Istanbul, or because it's really the same thing. There's no difference in it, right? And it's in the end of the day what defines you and makes you, let's say, happy and unhappy, because you will always be both, is what you choose to do with it, right? So I'm a lot more focused on putting actions in, and the only way I define the actions I take is that I'm trying to take actions that are to some degree making things better. At least that's the attempt, because I believe we're social creatures. We should try to make it better, not just for ourselves, but for other people as well. And that's really kind of the only thing I'm looking for. I think there's a strive for that. But I don't think for me that translates so much to like I'm not in search for personal happiness, if that makes sense. Like everyone will be happy at times and not happy at other times, and that's life, right? But there's so much you can do in both states, right? And I think sometimes people, when they hit something challenging, or let's say the less happy part or version of themselves, or the company, busy company, not busy company, I think they forget that there's just as many opportunities in either scenario, right? Like those never disappear. It's just your, let's say, mentality towards them, right? So I think my strength, if any, has always just been consistency in always trying, not in a pressured or stressful way, just in a way where it's like, I feel like shit today, doesn't really matter because I have things I want to do and things I want to bring in, or I feel really good today, or I think it's always just been the consistency of trying to add value, not in a forced way, or I don't feel a need to do it. I just feel it's kind of the right thing to do, and that's it pretty much, right? And I believe in we talked a bit about training before, leg days and upper body days. And I think it's, it goes into yourself as well, because if you're investing in yourself as if you're trying to be better physically, mentally, all of this, you can be better for other people. I think also, at least that is the theory. Not sure yet if that is true or not necessarily. I think that's always an interesting thing, and I think that's it's something that is relevant both in a privately but also in a workspace. What happens when the boss has a shit day, and how does that translate to other people, and how do you deal with people you work with having a shit day, your partner having a shit day, because obviously it's going to happen, right? And I think a big part of it is realizing that it's you're gonna have a lot more of those. So why not try to find a state of mind where you can turn even those into something positive, right? Or at least into something, right? Because it doesn't really have to be positive or negative. I think that the idea of labeling that stresses people out, I think. And in a way, I think we do it very differently, you and I, but I think we connect on the same idea that it's just like a state of being and allowing things to be the way they are and focusing in on what you can control versus what you cannot, right? Which, and I'm curious to hear what you think about that, but I know that it shouldn't be a difference, but I feel sometimes when running a company, you get very challenged on that, like not or realizing that there are things you can't control. I think in being a business owner, that's difficult sometimes. I think privately or outside the business is easier, but I'm still struggling with that sometimes to find a balance. Because, technically you could fire someone, you could hire someone, you could yell at someone for the charcoal if you wanted to, right? Not that would make it better, but I think it's a more, there's so much more baggage going into that process, maybe. But it's life. No, I think life is interesting, but it's a choice to live it, I think.
The being, let's call the owner, it basically relates to you are the house. And the rest of them live in the house or work in the house or play in the house. But eventually they will leave.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're the house.
Yeah.
You can't leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you have to sell or give it away.
Yeah. You could give the house away. Yeah.
Yeah. And every challenge always falls back to you. I believe I always begin the process of what is my participation in this? What could I have done differently if shit hits the fan? For most often, it's always too late when I figure it out. I see a social media post something, and I realize someone that is important has been there. And then I'm disappointed at myself. Why wasn't I there? But then I have to, then I have to just let that notion go. You weren't. Okay, they were there. Why didn't they perform like we talked about? And then you're just reminded we're human beings. We're human beings. And we have to keep repeating the same things over and over because I'm working with hearts and minds, with hands. We're not robots.
Yeah, I think, accepting everything for what it is, right? And knowing the limitations of how much or little control you actually have, right? That's the step one. That's a pretty beautiful way to wrap up, actually. It's the first time we timed this pretty well. Thank you so much for taking the time. And it's been amazing.
Just a little bit interesting.
I think it's super interesting personally, right? And honestly, I don't really care what the people watching or listening think, right? Because this is a very, let's say, selfish product in a way, right? For the best kind, though, where I get something out of it and hopefully other people. I think it's a good example.
I'm glad I was here.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you guys as well for watching and tuning in as always. We'll have more of these coming. But with that, just thank you again, Bo. It's been super. And then thank you guys again for tuning in.